Boy, actually, it hit me. Just describing, looking at a story, like, that this was the big story for 2 or 3 days, and then it became like this kind of thing that I started to see the debunking going on. And so finally I was like, okay, what is this story about the Trump Unified Reich post? Only to find out, like, like that kind of thing, where you have, okay, the image of the old newspaper and this and that. And so this is like one of these many things that has come up over now years, and the people don't get how much this is costing the Democratic Party. Not so much even that end of thinking, but the party. The party is losing its credibility over pulling stuff like this all the time. And then all of a sudden, all these people on, who are in the major news networks, all jumping on it all the same way, saying the same thing, that it's like, oh, because you all are like in cahoots. And it's starting to become more and more obvious, because now you got the, like the social media, that people are like, oh no, they're just, they're all in cahoots, they're all kind of commies, blah blah blah. And so people are like, oh my god, I can't believe you'll say something like that. But then you guys do stuff like this, and it makes it easier for Archie Bunker, for people to go, well, I know, Archie, what you mean, but I mean, come on, you're not communist, Archie. But that's you made it that you have to explain that. You have to now explain how this isn't communist infiltration. This is, just people who, it's just party politics, or whatever people want to, however you have to put it to make it feel okay. And at some point, you're not getting, you're now making, because, and then it could, okay, you lose credibility. And then you already have the key problem of many, many, many Democrats want, say, Bernie Sanders or somebody like along those lines as their candidate. None of you really wanted Biden as your candidate. From what the polling was showing, that really wasn't what you wanted. That that's not who you really were hoping for. But what the lawsuit, the Bernie Sanders lawsuits, and the things that had happened with Bernie Sanders and the party shows, that there's also the issue of, you don't really have a choice anymore. The party kind of does what it wants. So there's that. So it's a party that's not really responsive to its members, especially when it comes to who's really going to be in charge. Then, keeping that in mind, so you don't really, you could vote as hard as you want. Your party decides what it wants to do, like something very parliamentary. Very, very European Union, almost in the way that it works. So you can't really get a change in the guard. You can't get a rotation of the chairs. When you want to change your party, you're not able to. You've seen that with the Republicans, this is not the case. That as soon as people started to kind of, hey, none of us are happy with this, and that social media started to really make it easier for Republicans to fundamentally organize ideologically, they started taking their party back. And so now you're competing against somebody that the mechanisms of their party, the way it operates, they're able to control it. They can actually take it over. You cannot take over your party. When the overwhelming majority wants a certain candidate, you are not allowed to have that candidate. The party decides for you. Then, and for you to go up against the opposite team, you keep having to play all these weird hoaxes. You've got to play up hoaxes, and you have to machinate with most of the most loudly amplified journalists and news outlets, and so it's constantly hoaxes. It's bullshit and hoaxes, and then there's the whole thing of, and it looks like you're in cahoots with. There's a whole bunch of lawyers that all of you are in cahoots with as well, which this then starts to get into this realm of, this isn't very working class. These lawyers and these news people who are allowed to kind of do whatever the fuck they like, and we don't get what we want, and all this is, so then you're competing against the Republicans and losing because they're able to organize and they're able to change their party from the street level up. Then beyond this, you got there's then you're not delivering the fundamental amenities of the civilized society that people require, and that's fundamentally safety. And not only is it you're not keeping people safe, when there's evidence showing that you're not keeping people safe, there's once again this kind of networking of people involved with the party to sort of, oh no, there's a lot more crime against women, but don't worry, crime's not really that bad. I mean, and at some point, this is there. The thing that I'm starting because somebody brought this up in some video about how, it was a long time ago, but there's nobody facing this idea of, it's a sense of betrayal. That's what's happening now, is that you've betrayed people who are on your team. They vote your way. They believe in your movement. They believe in the same ideas you do. But you keep telling them, no, not only, so if they're running out of money all the time doing normal things, then what you're really kind of telling them is, you're not spending your money properly. It's not that the prices, the inflation of the currency has made prices and normal things hard to afford. If you're denying this to people, then what the only other option is, they don't know how to budget. So that's a bad approach. That's a bad approach to take with your own party, with your own party members. With the average person from your own party saying this, communicating this over and over and over again on news programs, what's going on with the inflation. And so then it's, not only is it, well, so what's going on with the inflation? They're saying, no, you don't understand the inflation. It's not real. This is a talking point by Republicans and stuff. And then the next part is the crime, which this is something that's been denied for now, easily about 6 years, or more. That this started quite a bit of time ago. And at some point, again, you're telling people it's betrayal. You're telling people, you aren't seeing this. This isn't really happening to you. It's kind of it's kind of an approach of people like using that term gaslighting a lot now. But I mean, it really is like you're crazy. That's the idea, is that they're like, you're crazy. That's not really happening. And you're giving into a hoax, would be the idea. That's the idea, that you've been beguiled. You've been beguiled, and you're giving into the hoaxing. And so at a certain point, what you're dealing with is you've betrayed people. You've made people feel like, well, but I'm correct, and that really has happened, and that's true. Why do you think I'm a sucker? Is what ends up, that's the logical conclusion. That people don't like this idea of, I'm the sucker, I'm the fool, and then I just keep going for it over and over and over again, going for, as what was it, the okey doke, the rope-a-dope. I like it. I was thinking David Carroll particularly liked using the okey doke, if I remember correct, was one of the fun phrases from the past that he liked to use. But wow, this is pretty cool. I got to show you guys this thing. This thing is neat looking. This is actually an area of design that I'm kind of excited about. It's not really my bag at the moment, but I mean, it's an interesting design. Wow, a hot dog stand. Don't see those very often anymore. Well, shoot. If I knew there was a wiener stand down here, I'm going to get a hot dog. But so at some point it becomes this thing of like, well, you've made people have to sit there and say like, no, but this is absolutely, and now, on a lot of these news shows, people are having to present all kinds of math about it, like, oh yeah, no, here's the prices and this percentage of this and that, and that there's some expert who's like, the only way it works is you don't know how to budget or count or add or something along these lines. It would have to be, because the idea is you're crazy, it isn't happening. And that's betrayal. And a lot of people are going to have to start getting this idea, like somewhere in the Democratic Party, where you guys strategize on this stuff, like, this is absolutely not the approach to take. Just abso-fucking-lutely not how you handle, like, a party that has this overwhelming number of middle-class, older people who are second and third generation college-educated people. These are people who know how to budget. And you're hemorrhaging now the young, because the young are internet savvy and informationally literate enough to know, like, no, not only are you gaslighting me, you're doing exactly what the right says you are going to do. They know what you're going to do years ahead. They talk about it as if it's happening at the present time. Everyone laughs at them, and then when it comes true, then we feel like suckers again. We look like suckers, and that's betrayal. And nobody's really putting this together, because it's such a nasty. That's such a nasty thing to do. It's so honorless, and that's a big part of where this is going, is this kind of lack of honor that you're starting to see as a key part of what is ailing the Democrats now. Just today, I was seeing many of these right end news alerts. We're talking about the dude, that, like, why did you put in a 6'2" child rapist in a women's prison just because he said he was a woman, when he proceeded to violate women in prison, and questions like that that whole realm of what's going on with the Justice Department and all this kind of sentencing stuff. This is another one where it's betrayal. You're making people feel betrayed. They're like, why are you? I'm not a sucker. That's not a woman. This is a violent criminal man who's over 6 feet tall. That's not a woman. You know, it's and people need to start getting this in the Democratic Party. That it's like at a certain point, the politeness. See, remember, the whole reason you guys really have a problem with the right now is that the right's not being polite. The right is not being charitable or polite. They're being very impolite all the time. And it's, what the hell is happening? And it's very off-putting to the left. The left enjoys this idea of being like kind of free to say whatever they like. They like being impolite and vulgar, and now increasingly openly threatening. Like that's one that's been building up all throughout the Trump administration. This was the norm of the left, was to threaten people who didn't agree with them or were supporters of Trump. And so now it's this thing of, well, so you guys are going to have a really tough row to hoe if you want people to move to where you live and repopulate it with success and brain and drive and will, if you've shown everyone you openly prefer criminality, that you will actually punish people for defending themselves from criminals and burglars and such like, that you will make it difficult for people to actually be able to keep their own house because somebody just decided they wanted to break into it and live there. None of this is going to work for you. You betrayed your own constituents. And at some point you just have to face this. And heads have to roll. Like, that's one of the key things and this is why it won't happen. This is why nothing will change, because heads would have to roll within the Democratic Party. People would have to lose their sweet fucking jobs in the party. That's not going to happen. You're not going to punish people within the party for coming up with these shit ideas and these shit methods of trying to like shame people and game the system. And now remember, it doesn't matter, because your cities now have bonded indebtedness based on tax revenues that you thought were going to come in, and now they're not going to come in. So nothing else matters. You're in debt, bitch. So yeah, talk to you guys in a bit.